Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sosa and I'm just an engineer that talks about engineering things and computer science stuff and all that jazz. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about struggling with math in a computer science major. And as somebody who was there just a few years ago, I really wanted to just give my perspective for students who feel like they shouldn't major in computer science because of the math that's involved. Too long, didn't watch or whatever. I'm just going to tell you right now that you should absolutely try out computer science and see whether or not it's right for you before you jump to the conclusion that it's not right for you because you'll have to take some math classes. I don't really necessarily think that's fair to you. I think you deserve to give yourself the chance to actually get into the major and see whether or not it's something that you want to do. Don't write yourself off because you think that you can't succeed. That's not fair. And these are things that I've had to tell myself along the way, that I am good enough to get through this major, and it's not like I didn't struggle in computer science. I just want to give you my perspective, kind of lay down my struggles with it. Yeah, let's just jump into it. So ever since I was in high school, I constantly and consistently struggled with math. I was always studying super hard and doing extra practice problems in classes like algebra and geometry, but for some reason math was just always an uphill battle for me. And the crazy thing is I'd never have to put in the same amount of extra work for other courses. Math for some reason had just always been really, really hard. And after a while of putting in that extra work and studying super hard, things would click, but it was always, a battle. But I really knew I was in for a fight when I took pre-calc. Combined senioritis with already having a full ride to a really good school and not having the best math teacher, it was just the perfect storm. Literally barely passed that class, but at that point I was a senior graduating high school and I really didn't even care. And so I was kind of just happy that I had barely passed and that I could move on with my life, focus on spending the summer, my last summer with my friends and stuff. So during my freshman year of college, I was kind of set on the thought that I wanted to be a doctor. I kind of talked about that in another video. I was so set in the fact that I wanted to become a doctor. At the time, I wanted to be a pediatrician, and so I decided that I was going to take a bunch of pre-med courses, and one of those pre-med courses was Calc 1. Again, I struggled. I remember crying while doing problem sets and having these intense feelings of anxiety whenever I was taking an exam, and it was similar to the thoughts and feelings that I had while in high school. But the difference was this time around I had a really, really great professor. I would go to his office hours every single week. He and his teaching assistant would sit down with me and some other students and kind of help guide us through problems that we were having and try to make sure that we understood the foundations of a problem before moving on to the next one. I also formed a study group with some friends that I had in the class, and every single Monday we would get together and work on problem sets and the homework that was due during that week. We would also study for exams together. The class was incredibly hard. With all that studying and forming study groups and going to office hours and just working incredibly hard, I actually still ended up coming out of the class with a C. But the main difference was that I just made sure not to give up. I took advantage of all the resources that I had in front of me and made sure to ask for help when I needed it. A year later, or my sophomore year, I decided that medicine was not for me and I wanted to try to take a semester to figure out what I actually wanted to do and what I was interested in and what I could possibly be passionate about. From what I remember, the math prereq, I think for my CS undergrad, was Calc 1, and obviously we still had to take discrete math and algorithms, and then we could take Calc 2 or Calc 3 or linear algebra later on if we wanted to. That part wasn't required. Like most other students, my biggest hesitation with computer science was the math. I had struggled with math all of my life up to that point, and I really doubted whether or not I could even succeed in the major. And I had just gotten a C in my calc class after putting in the maximum amount of effort possible. So I was really, really scared to think of how much work I'd have to put in for the rest of the major if I decided to go through a computer science. One thing you should know about me is that I do not back down from a challenge. I figured that I'd already taken the prereq, which was calc, and I was able to overcome it with an incredible amount of work work and effort in studying. And I just thought, worst comes to worst, I could do the same thing for CS. And if I really didn't like it, I could switch it up and take something entirely different. And so I ended up for that semester taking the Intro to Computer Science course, a women's studies class, an arts class, and then a biology class just in case I wanted to fall back on pre-med. And I actually ended up absolutely loving computer science. For the next 3 years, I was entirely focused on succeeding in the computer science major just because I knew I loved it so much. I knew that there was no other major I wanted to study and I wasn't passionate about anything else. This was the first time that I actually felt challenged, but like in a really good way. Like I felt challenged in all the other courses that I took my freshman year, but it was challenging and not fun. You know, I dreaded going to class because I really did not care about the subjects that I was learning about. Whereas with computer science, I just felt that I was just so enamored and in love with the things that I was learning. Programming just in general was so much fun. It was the passion that I was looking for was there. I had finally found it. So when things got really hard, and they did get really hard all the time, I made sure to lean into that passion and to use all of the resources that I had at my disposal. I had to take a semester of discrete math, which I struggled in, but made sure to form a study group and go to office hours when I could. And eventually I got an A. I also took a genetic programming class, which required Calc 1, but also actually a little bit of Calc 2. And so again, I struggled and I made sure to go to office hours and form another group with people that had more math experience than I did, so we're actually like math minors or like a double major with math, and so they would help me out a lot. I ended up getting a B in that class. So that's just all to say, most computer science classes are pretty math heavy. CS theory is closely linked with math, and in certain fields like machine learning, computational photography, gaming, data analysis, those fields are going to need even more math. Unless you plan on working in those fields, for me in my day-to-day and for most engineers day-to-day, they are not using Calc 1, Calc 2, linear algebra type math. I've only really needed to know algebra and algorithms, and if you have a strong intuition and understanding of those things and of design principles, then you can do really well. Basically, I'm an example of somebody who succeeded in tech without being a genius in math. I struggled in math my whole entire life. To this day, I still struggle with math past algebra. Like, give me a Calc 1 problem, give me a Calc 1 exam, I will fail it beautifully. But you need to be aware that in order to get through the computer science degree, you will definitely need to work through some hard math classes. Computer science is very focused on problem solving, and math teaches us to solve problems. But problems can be solved without being good at math. You just have to take advantage of the resources you have at your disposal. Form study groups, do extra practice problems, ask your professor to frame a question in a different way in order to be able to better understand it. Sign up for a math tutor, watch YouTube videos in Khan Academy. There are so many options you have to take advantage of if you're struggling with math. Don't give up on studying computer science because you're afraid of the amount of work and effort you'll have to put in to understanding the math behind it. There isn't really much we can't overcome with some effort. I figured out that math is something that can be improved on with some steady practice and studying. I've worked my butt off to get through the necessary math required for the computer science major. And now I'm doing a job that I love, and I learned an important lesson of persistence and hard work along the way. So my final thought, kick the habit of giving up because you find something challenging or confusing. Push through. If it's something that you really want, it'll be worth it in the end. And that is the video. Please leave some comments down below if you have any, like this video if you liked it. Math is really hard, and there are not that many people in this world who are just gifted enough to just get it. Reach out to people when you need help. There's no shame in asking for help ever. That's something that I didn't really figure out until a lot later on in my computer science career, and you got this. You really do. Let me know if there are any other videos that you would like me to do or things that you would want me to talk about. I hope you guys are all staying safe. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.